Hey guys, welcome back to this week's pool here on Comic Relief Cast. I'm your host Jake.
And I'm Josh. Hey Jake, I got a quick question.
What is that?
What are we reading?
And as you guys can tell by clicking on the video, we are talking about Return of Wolverine #1 by Charles Soule and Steve McNiven. And this issue, first thing that jumped out to me is the cover. For some reason, I was like, the first thing I saw was this cover. I go, Steve McNiven does not seem to be on the top of his game here. I've seen plenty of his art, his pencils with like Nemesis, Old Man Logan, Civil War, a few other things, and I always love his artistic style. Ever since they've been promoting this cover, I've been like, man, I do not feel like Steve McNiven's at the top of his game, but that could just be this cover or whoever they got to do the colors or the inks, and hopefully the interior art's what I know to be from Steve McNiven. And first thing I did was turn the page and go, this is not what I expect from Steve McNiven. Now, I will say some panels are absolutely great. Other times seem very inconsistent with what I expect from Steve McNiven. What do you think, Josh?
I agree. There are some panels that just don't look good, and then there's some panels that are just
works of art. Like, yeah, you would like I want that poster.
I want that original art. I want it hanging up on my wall.
Yeah, there are some great things about this book, absolutely. One of the first things I noticed too, I mean, aside from the art, is that I have actually missed Wolverine. I miss Logan. Like, not Old Man Logan, not X-23, not Jimmy Hudson, not Dakin, not all these other rip-off characters. I miss original, ground and pound fucking Logan, dude. And one of the first things I felt was that, yeah, I miss him. The Marvel Universe has not really felt the same without him.
I agree. I felt the same way because I'm not I used to be a huge X-Men fan. It's too convoluted for me to really even care anymore.
Right, did you even know some of those names I just shouted out at you?
Yes.
Okay.
But when you flip through the first page, the first page actually has a little segment talking about Wolverine.
Right.
And then you get to the
he's
first
brave,
page,
he's noble.
It's just two panels and one big panel, which is actually a lithograph that at most comic book shops they're going to have them. We have them in our shop.
Yep.
But it's just beautiful, one of those great panels I was talking about. And I was sitting here thinking, like, man, I do miss that yellow and blue costume, seeing it, throughout issues of like different books like Spider-Man, Avengers, and
yeah, I miss Prime
X-Men.
Logan, just in his prime. Like, you can't hurt this guy. He's an unstoppable killing machine. There's bullets, nothing's gonna keep this guy back. But keeping going with this, this book kind of throws you right into the action. And I'm not gonna lie, I stopped reading a lot of the tie-ins to the Hunt for Wolverine stuff. So the Madripoor, the Adamantium Agenda, all those things, Claws of the Killer. I just stopped reading them. I wasn't really interested. I was like, I'll get everything I need to know from Return of Wolverine and Dead Ends. I think Dead Ends was actually a pretty good book to read before this. So if anybody's kind of looking for something to jump in on and you need a segue to this, I'd say Wolverine Dead Ends is a good one to pick up before this book. But the first thing I noticed is that this book, I am super fucking lost. I am lost reading this book. What'd you think?
At first I was sitting here and I was reading it and I was like, I'm a little confused. I'm a little lost. I did the same thing as you. What I did with the Hunt for Wolverines was I stopped reading Claws of the Killer and Mystery of Madripoor.
Yeah,
I continued reading Weapons Lost and Adamantium Agenda because those were the two that were actually good. Mm-hmm. And you read Dead End and you kind of think that's going to sum everything up, and it did sum everything up from
those four titles a little bit.
So that tells me that even if I've read those, I still would be lost. Mm-hmm. And after a while, I start realizing that I start looking at the writer on this and I go, okay, I know it's Charles Soule and I know what he's doing. He's trying to be artsy fartsy on this.
Yeah, he's trying to go, he's trying to be a little bit more cerebral about this book. As we started to talk about a little bit before we were recording, there are things in this book that just don't seem realistic. The timeline doesn't seem realistic. We're supposed to probably feel about as out of place as Logan feels in this book. As you're reading it, you follow him, you feel as lost as him. You don't feel like, okay, I've got it figured out, I'm waiting for Logan to figure it out. I'm trying to figure it out along with Logan, and I'm super lost the way he is. He's referencing a lot of different things in weird timeline and in a weird fashion, and so it doesn't hit very well. The whole time he's talking, the whole time there's dialogue or something happening, I'm just trying to figure out I'm trying to get a footing here in this book, a point of reference where I can keep going, and this book doesn't offer it for you until you get kind of close to the end and you start to realize that you should have probably held on to the very beginning of this book where it says Chapter 1, Hell.
Yeah, you should have held on to that while you were reading.
Yeah.
I did. That kept playing in my head.
I did, and I was
like
like,
the whole thing.
Usually the name of a chapter of something is pretty meaningless. This one, I think, if you keep that in the back of your mind, you're gonna understand the story a lot better.
And you'll enjoy it more too.
Probably, because I think with a second read, I'm gonna look back on this.
Without that one little thing, you'd be like, this is a really weird fucking book to have somebody return on.
Yeah.
You know, like you'd think it'd be a bigger deal. But no, I mean, it's the only thing that really, writing-wise, after knowing that, and it does get a little confusing if you're not really paying attention. It does make a little bit more sense once you get towards the end, even though it's not written out for you real big and great like the chapter name. But the one thing I did notice is Soule is kind of losing it on his dialogue. There's some parts in this with the dialogue, not just like with Wolverine, but with secondary characters in this, where I'm just like, man, this is not very good dialogue. There's a few parts. There's one part in particular where he's talking to somebody in the beginning, and I just remember reading that, and I was just like, man, that really is not good.
Yeah,
it doesn't sound like something that you would honestly hear someone saying.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I honestly, with Charles Soule, I fell out of favor with him, or he's fallen out of favor with me reading his Daredevil book. I'm just not into it anymore. I stopped, and this is the first time I've stopped reading Daredevil in probably a good 7 or 8 years. I just couldn't do it anymore. So Charles Soule for me was already an iffy writer to put on this book in the first place, and this book, it's got a lot of intrigue though. Like I feel okay, they're setting something up that could be really cool here. And I know a lot of people were taking umbrage with this idea that Wolverine has like fire claws now. I think in this issue you can rest assured that's not going to be an issue for you. You know, you're not going to have a problem with that in this book. There are some characters that make cameos in this book that are really quick if you don't catch them, and they're a little bit metaphorical at times. But the one thing that I should have held on to was, like I said, the title is named In Hell, or Hell, and there's one character that he's after named Persephone, and they name it over and over and over. And in Greek mythology, Persephone is the woman that Hades is in love with. So that right there should kind of start to paint an idea of where you're at with this book.
I'm pretty sure that character that they keep introducing, or to keep saying
referencing.
The name, referencing. Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's the character that we were trying to determine at the end of Dead End.
Yeah. Oh, good call. You're probably right. Yeah.
You thought it was Bloodstorm.
Yeah. You know what? You were probably right. That is a good call.
Yeah.
Because I think they do introduce her actually in this book.
Yeah.
I didn't even put 2 and 2 together there. Good call.
Yeah. But, I mean, I think that with what you said, I agree with the Charles Soule thing. I have been kind of out of Charles Soule lately. Man, I can't even say his fucking name.
Well, maybe get that toothpick out your mouth.
Hey, but I like to act like I'm about to join the mob. Okay, but with that all being said and the dialogue not being that great, the storyline is intriguing, and our boy in blue and yellow is back. I mean, and that's one thing that's very apparent. You look at these pages, and you see him in the first few pages, and he's wearing his traditional, like, it's not completely tattered up and everything.
No.
You see him in his blue and yellow suit, and you're realizing, man,
like, it's classic.
I didn't realize it. Yeah,
it's classic blue and yellow. It's not even astonishing X-Men blue and yellow. This is classic blue and yellow Wolverine. And the one last thing I've kind of got to nitpick about is that I'm kind of over the whole idea that we're messing with Wolverine's mind. Okay, I feel like that's been beaten to death, especially in the Bryan Singer movies. Wolverine, I can't remember where I'm from, blah 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 blah. And every time it happens in the comic books, like with House of M, he gets just bent out of shape with the fact that Scarlet Witch messed with his mind. I want to leave that in the past. I know, I understand it's supposed to be like an homage to the original birth and inception of Wolverine, but I want to stop messing with this guy's mind and give him something to move forward to. I don't want to keep latching on to classic tropes of Wolverine. I just want to see him progress. I don't need to see any more mind-wiped, brainwashed Wolverine shit.
Yeah, where his biggest concern is that he can't remember who he is or where he comes from.
Right.
It is kind of it's not so much that it's like a cliche with Wolverine as much as it's just boring now.
Yeah.
It's
just beating a dead horse.
Yeah. You're playing off of something that we've already read plenty of times before, or seen in movies.
And what kind of new spin can you really put on that? We've seen it explored so many times. So the other thing too is, real quickly, that I will say I'm kind of excited by and weirded out seeing Wolverine with this giant bushy mane of hair from like the 80s and early 90s. it's definitely a callback to that, but at the same time, I think maybe he needs a haircut here soon. Like, I hope it doesn't stay that way for very long.
Going to. You got to think that the homeboy's been dead. I'm surprised it's not even hairier.
Well, I mean, he might be dead, or he could be a clone. You know, the whole Adamantium Agenda storyline was about him being cloned.
Yeah.
So, or his DNA being stolen and possibly cloned by Sinister. So, anyways, with that, Josh, I'm going to give and unveil our new rating. I'm going to give this, out of 5, 2.75 Fiery Claws.
2.75 Fiery Claws?
Yeah.
I'm actually going to give it 3. Fiery Claws.
Claws.
Fiery Claws.
All right, guys. Well, I think that is all we've got for you on this episode. Definitely make sure to subscribe to the channel so you can always be here for new early comic book reviews every Tuesday. Definitely comment below what you guys thought of this when you finally get this book in your hands, because we are the lucky ones that get it before you. And then share this with your friends, guys. If you have any people who like to read comic books, who like to talk comic books with these people, share this with them. Let them know if you do agree or disagree with us. And we hope to see you on the next video. Take care.